Hello and welcome to the Never Heard of It podcast. I'm Craig Moorhead, and today I'm joined for the first time by...
Sean Harwell, the person who has been co-hosting this since the inception of this podcast.
Sorry, I may have misled our listeners a little bit.
That's okay. It's just a slight misdirect. No, welcome. This is the podcast where we talk about the movies that have fallen through our cracks. We are doing a mini episode today, so we won't be talking about one specific movie. We're going to talk about a lot of them, but just in a much smaller dose and much more recent stuff. Craig, where can they find everything they might possibly want to know about you and me?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean. First of all, they could go to iTunes and tippity-tap Never Heard of It into their Finder box. Mm-hmm. And then they would find our podcast, and they can find every episode we ever did in the podcasting section of the Apple store. You can also find us at neverheardpodcast.com, I think.
Yeah,
you can also find us on Twitter at neverpodcast. You can find us on Instagram. Again, just look for... Is that Never Podcast as well, Sean?
No, I think it is NHOIT Podcast, but you're just going to want to type Never Heard of It and you'll find us. That's a lot easier.
You're right. That's terribly embarrassing that I didn't know that.
That's okay. You don't have to know it. That's the thing. Yes, it's so nice about it.
That's true. But and the other thing, you can go to YouTube and you can also find, I believe, all of our episodes now. You can find it there.
Pretty much.
And again, just search for Never Heard of It Podcast and you will find it.
That's right. You can also come check out Facebook. We tend to post probably the most stuff on there. And, it's nice to see your comments. So thanks for saying hello. And
also you can suggest movies for us or bring up any darn thing you like about movies.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. We've even got an email address if you want to do that.
Oh, man, yeah, you can keep it private.
I'm not going to tell you what that is.
Oh.
I think, that's part of the mystery. You got to come find it.
It is. So, Sean, we've got a mini. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's dive into it right now.
Let's dive.
First things first. It was a big meeting of filmmaking amazitudes. At South by Southwest this past week, after the premiere of his movie Song to Song, Terrence Malick palled around with Richard Linklater and Michael Fassbender, and they talked about movies. Now, Sean, you have watched the video of this, I believe. I just read about it. What was the experience like? What was it like to be in the room?
It's interesting, and I was thinking about it today earlier. I was like, shouldn't make that big of a deal of the fact that Terrence Malick did a Q&A. I think this is the second one we've talked about this year. But this one is, I think, the first where there's actually video. And you can find that video by looking up Song to Song on Facebook. I'm sure I saw it elsewhere on the internet, so it's floating around, of course. Mm-hmm. The myth of this guy as a recluse, and literally there was 3 official photos of him from the past 40 years of filmmaking, and I think the last one was on the set of The Thin Red Line that was used for the Oscars. So that is kind of a big deal, but of course it does build up this kind of mythology that can't possibly be real.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting here and watching it, and I'm actually I even have it open right now. It's a guy in khakis and a button down,
right,
in a couch who's balding, and he seems perfectly nice and perfectly normal. He's got a slight, Southern accent, and he's talking about movies with these guys, and there seems nothing abnormal or really kind of uniquely significant about it, other than that backstory. That said, the talk is really interesting, and you get a couple questions. They talk about whether Michael Fassbender wants to direct. They talk about Malick's style and, Linklater having seen it on set and what he took away from it and what was inspiring about it. So all that stuff, if you're into the guy, and I think a lot of people appreciate sort of that myth and just the idea of this guy as a filmmaker who's probably different from almost anybody as much as they do the movies themselves. And, the really good ones are great. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to go watch it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing I was thinking about the video itself is again, just because Malick has been so press shy, as some people might say, that getting video of him in that could be something valuable someday, depending on if unless now he's just going to be all about the talk show circuit, in which case it might not be so crazy.
Yeah, he's going on Dr. Phil tomorrow. I will say what makes it less valuable is that they held their phone in the vertical position instead of horizontal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get the little sliver of video on your big black box.
Man,
Which I haven't looked at the comments on Facebook. I'm sure somebody made that. It's like,
of course.
Okay, come on, this is Malick we're talking about. He shoots in IMAX and you can't turn your phone sideways.
I mean, PSA to all the listeners out there, in case you didn't know, you got to shoot it horizontally. None of your memories should be in vertical screen. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, just think about that. Yeah. If you run into Terrence Malick tomorrow on the street and you can't wait to show all your friends, you better turn that phone sideways, right?
Turn that phone sideways.
A couple other cool things I think have come out of South by Southwest. I think we have to congrat Mr. Todd Rohal on winning.
Absolutely.
And make sure I have it right. Midnight Audience Award.
I believe that was the one, the jury award for Midnight Shorts. It's called the Suplex Duplex Complex.
Great title. As always.
Yeah.
The man has great titles. Yeah.
It is destined for Adult Swim, so you will be able to check it out if you have cable or an internet connection. And it's
and if you don't, I don't know how you're listening to this. But.
So don't pretend. But really, really, really funny and a really fun thing. I'm so glad to see that happened.
Oh, have you seen the film?
Yeah. Well, I see.
Nice.
I mean, I don't want to brag right now, but I do get to see.
I mean, you got the hookup, right?
I get to see a lot of early cuts. I like to see a lot of versions. Nice. Sometimes he just sends me raw dailies of nothing but a
good
piece of grass. Mm-hmm. I get to really...
What about, does he send any vertical videos of Terrence Malick?
Well, you know what's funny? They actually shot the entire movie of Suplex Duplex Complex in vertical. And then just turned it 90 degrees. So imagine what went into that.
Rotated left.
Yeah.
Well, if you lay down, I bet the movie looks amazing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can totally see it. You can totally tell. If you lay down and look at it, you can be like, oh, okay, I see how they did it.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up from South by is we may have a chance to pat ourselves on the back, dude. I don't know if you saw this. Okay, so James Franco, who we keep talking about, because guess what? He's got yet another movie that was at South by Southwest. It got a standing ovation. Search for this movie today. First thing that popped up was this movie is being tapped for Oscar contention.
Oh, wow.
Which is something, we said... it could happen. Someday James Franco may win an Oscar or may be nominated for directing a movie. Sure. And if you don't know, this movie is called The Disaster Artist, which is based on the book about the making of The Room, which is Tommy Wiseau's sort of cult classic, so bad it's good film from the early 90s, I think. The book was written by Greg Sestero, who played the character Mark, which is, if you've seen the movie, you'll know the name, obviously. I haven't read the book, but it definitely sounds like there's, sort of maybe a Tim Burton, Ed Wood kind of vibe to this movie. And it's got James Franco playing Tommy Wiseau, who I did not even recognize him. You'll have to see the still. I was going to say,
I was looking at the still. Yeah, I didn't think that was him at all.
I didn't think it was him at all. And I had to read, and now I'm kind of looking at it and maybe they did a little makeup to his brow. But it has his brother Dave playing Sestero. I think Seth Rogen's in it as well. Bryan Cranston. Again, some of the regulars that he's had in these movies lately. Have you seen The Room, Craig?
I've watched enough. I've watched as much as I can watch it. How about that? In a weird way, I couldn't get past how bad it was to enjoy it.
For me, it is one of the few that actually lived up to that moniker, and it is a sight to behold in a lot of different ways. But I do think, regardless of that, the potential for the story is really pretty interesting and pretty fascinating subject matter. I think it's cool that Franco got his hands on it, and you can't get too excited and start predicting amazing things for a movie just at a one film festival getting a standing ovation. I think specifically a movie like this that's probably got a pretty niche audience to begin with, but I'm hoping for the best for sure. And this is definitely on my radar, even more so in a big way now, to hear that it hit on all those marks.
Absolutely, that's great.
Craig, I heard you went to the movie theater.
I actually went to a movie theater.
Holy
So
cow.
I'm currently unemployed, and what that means, aside from not being able to pay bills, is that I have time to go to the movies.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
and my wife overlooked her general discomfort when watching heavily scary movies or suspenseful movies, and she took one for the team, and she said, "Craig, we're going to see Get Out." And I've been dying to see it. We talked about it a lot of episodes ago, I feel like, sometime last year even, because Get Out is a horror movie written and directed by Jordan Peele. And we watched the trailer, and the trailer was just bananas. I was like,
great trailer.
This looks like everything I want to see in like a new horror movie. You know, not all the, I don't know, girls with wet black hair crawling out of wells and
how many dead children
exactly.
are in it? Yeah.
It just like a new thing. It felt right. Anyway, so we went and saw it, and it continued to feel right all the way to the credits. It was a fantastic movie, which I don't think is any surprise because it's making lots of money, and there have been lots of reviews that say it's good. For me, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to show my ass a little bit when I say what I'm about to say, but
say it. Say it.
But how is that any different from any other episode?
Honestly, yeah, this is why we record.
Yeah. Sean, you're familiar with, and you've probably watched it recently, a movie called Tales from the Hood.
In constant rotation, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know that I've ever seen Tales from the Hood. I definitely know what it is.
Okay.
Though.
First of all, I want to say, if you haven't seen Tales from the Hood, go watch Tales from the Hood.
Okay, we'll do.
And I'll just leave it at that. It doesn't need anything more. It's I'm not setting you up for what a terrible movie this is. No, you should watch it. Anyway, so that movie came out in 1995, and I remember sometime after watching that and thinking, and here's where my ass part comes. And I kept thinking, here's a whole vein of horror, I feel like, that's just not being created or used in any way. And I'm not going to say that Tales from the Hood was an amazing sociological comment on our times and racism and all that stuff. But there were certainly elements that were kind of playing with the clear anxiety that people of color have in our white supremacist nation. And I just felt why isn't that being used more? It's just it just seems like that's just... I don't know. It just seems like there's so much to be said. It's all about fear and being uncomfortable and whatever. It's uncomfortable for me, and this nation was built for me. You know what I mean? Not that it should have been, but
correct.
that's it's the truth. So, and of course, this is years before I even came to know phrases like white privilege and have any idea what that was about. Anyway, Get Out feels like the movie that I was hoping to see. And that's a part of why I think I enjoyed it so much. I think it's a terrific movie no matter what.
Well, that is awesome. I actually heard an interview with him today just by chance. I was in the car and they were interviewing him on Fresh Air with Terry Gross. I came into the middle of it and wasn't sure who it was, but somebody on NPR was talking about Freddy Krueger, and I was like, wait a second. Hey, what is this? Who is this? Quickly realized it was Jordan Peele, and he was kind of talking about that as an early touchstone because, he said in the sequels in particular, it almost made Freddy the main character. Yeah. He would kill somebody and then say some sort of quippy one-liner, and the audience would laugh with him.
Yeah. And
he talked about how that was really unusual and kind of terrifying to him because it sort of puts you in the perspective of the monster, and that was, in a way, the scariest thing because you're sort of tapping into what's inside of you as an audience member or anybody that, enjoys that. And I don't know if that's present in this movie, although it sounds like maybe that's a part of it when you're talking about it being about fear.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. And he talked a little bit about, Stephen King's definition of terror being better than horror, and terror being all about anticipation, and all that kind of thing. And that's what goes back a little bit to Hitchcock, which he also referenced, North by Northwest. And yeah, it's really, what I heard was a great interview. I definitely would recommend you specifically and anybody else that's seen the movie or interested in it. Yeah, it just sounds like every reference he was making, he said he made like a list of like the 12 types of fears that work the best for him. And, it was everything from Rosemary's Baby to seeing, going around the corner and seeing the girls in The Shining, and just different types of things. I'm like, well, that's really interesting. He's kind of breaking it down into a not just a formula, but as a thing to be studied and used to the advantage of what you're trying to get your audience to do. In something that's supposed to be a thrill ride. And it was great. It definitely just added to my anticipation of finally seeing this thing, which hopefully will happen soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, so let's switch gears for a second. And I say that as a great segue to the trailer for Edgar Wright's Baby Driver. I'm not sure where to put the emphasis there. First of all, Sean, where were you the first time you realized this movie was not about a baby who can drive a car?
Gosh, probably on the toilet.
And were you disappointed? And I'm talking about the movie.
With what I was doing on the toilet?
No, the movie specifically.
Well, I heard about this a little while ago, and my immediate reaction, which I suspect is going to be other people's, and I still kind of feel that way from the trailer, is that it feels like Drive. It feels like a version of the Ryan Gosling, Nicholas Winding Refn movie Drive.
Interesting.
And a less cool version of that.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, it depends on what you feel about that film. I really, really like that movie, and I really, really like Edgar Wright. I feel like there's probably a lot more up this movie's sleeve. And then watching this trailer, I mean, the cast looks pretty awesome.
Yes.
It definitely seems like Kevin Spacey and Jamie Foxx are having fun. I like seeing John Hamm look like a badass in this. I think that's cool. And I have a feeling the camera work is going to be out of control with some of these action sequences.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, I mean, I also had the thought, it's like, I wonder what about this was really screaming out to Edgar Wright as like a filmmaker, Yeah. He wrote the script, and he's certainly done action comedy before. This will not be, it's not like he's testing out something he hasn't done before in a way. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what this actually is versus what they're selling it as.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling. Like, I'm really excited there's an Edgar Wright movie. I was disappointed that it's not about a baby driving a car.
I mean, that would be really...
I mean, if there was Edgar Wright's movie about a baby driving a car, I wouldn't need a trailer. I would just...
No.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Put it in England, put the baby in a Mini Cooper, you're done. Like, that's...
you can't
I'm there.
beat that. Anyway, but I do kind of... I'm hoping that what we have seen here is not the final trailer. And maybe the next one will have a little more story to it, and we'll see what... Because, I don't feel like he just made a movie about driving fast cars. That doesn't make any sense to me. And as excited as he has been about it, I've kind of seen his... I've seen his tweets, I won't lie. I've seen his tweets, and he's been talking about Baby Driver for a long time, and it's clearly something...
I've seen his... I think he left... Yeah, I've seen his grams.
Yeah, have you seen his grams? Okay.
Very excited about it.
He basically... I mean, I don't know the actual order of things. I wasn't in the room, but I mean, he basically left Ant-Man to do this, or he left Ant-Man and did this. So, whatever import that has on the whole thing, but yeah, so clearly he's excited, and he's given us some fantastic movies. So,
if there's another layer to this, oh man, what a great marketing ploy so far, because it does, it has that sort of template feel a little bit, like, okay, this is the crew of robbers. There's even the baby is like, all right, I'm doing this one last job and then I'm out. Yeah. And then Kevin Spacey's like, you're out because I let you. You're like, I release you.
Right.
You know, your debt is paid. And that's all stuff we've seen before, right?
Yeah.
You know, from the Italian Job to Fast and Furious, Drive.
Right.
So I think that's all hanging over this right now. And like, yeah, if what you're saying, you know, I do think, yeah, if there's that extra, like, okay, but guess what? Boom, it's going to take this turn. Oh man, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that line in particular, I immediately took it as a joke. You know, sort of like, oh yeah, that old cliche, and it doesn't really pay off as a joke or cliche in the trailer. But nope. I still feel like, yeah, like he's doing that. Like that's a setup for what this is going to be.
How awesome would it be if like that, everything in that trailer is just in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. And then it's about something
and then there's really a baby
entirely.
Driver. That's my biggest hope.
Yes.
I feel like...
It goes like Benjamin Button. He just keeps getting younger. And then you find out that he was a driver when he was a baby.
Oh gosh, he pulls off the last job and then just crawls out of the car. Crawls into the sunset. I love it.
We'll keep an eye on this. It's always, I think it's always a good time when Edgar Wright's making a movie.
Yeah. Well, Sean, that's all I've got for today.
Well, I have one more thing.
Oh, please.
We do have next week coming. Oh, man. So excited about this one. Boo, A Medea Halloween. We've talked about it in the past a little bit and our excitement to check this out. We did. We came, we saw, we conquered, and had a lot of fun with that one. So keep your eyes out for that. And then, Craig. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about the next time.
Oh, man. It's been a long time since we've done this, Sean. I'm not sure if I can do it right.
Well, we're going to. We're getting back to this because, there's just too many movies that are new to me completely that I'm hoping you've never heard of because I'm dying to see them. Okay? I think I hope I got a good one right here. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Craig, have you ever heard of a movie called Murder in Coweta County? Don't say yes. Do not say yes. Okay.
No. That's a very specific title.
It is. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and prime this, and that's an interesting segue to say that this is available on Amazon Prime.
Oh, heck yeah.
Here's what I know about it. 1983, the movie stars Andy Griffith and Johnny Cash.
What?
And it's a drama. And from what I can tell, Andy Griffith plays a criminal and Johnny Cash plays a lawman. So, signed, sealed, delivered. I can't wait to see this. And
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I don't know why I never ever have I heard of this movie come up in any film conversation. So
no.
Hopefully we got some good stuff.
But it's about to.
Yeah, it's about to. And again, Amazon Prime, go check it out and come back when we talk about that because I have a feeling one way or another that movie has to be interesting.
Yeah. The director? Okay, we'll talk about it when we talk about it.
I don't even know who directed it, so I haven't even got that far with it. I saw the names.
He's no slouch.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even
he's
better.
no slouch, Sean.
Even better.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh, sweet. So come check that out with us. We will talk about it and keep you posted on everything at the various places we told you about. As always, thank you for listening. And Craig, any last words?
Hey, Sean, I just want everyone out there to remember, if you've heard of it, I don't know. I'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Sean, so.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.